Welcome in, Seahawks Today by Chat Sports. Tyler Jones here with you. Thanks for joining us. Coming up on today's show, we are going to break down 5 potential trade candidates for your Seattle Seahawks with the NFL Draft in the books and looking ahead to the next couple of months as the Seahawks get ready for the 2023 season. Who are some guys that they could potentially move on from? We'll tell you coming up in a matter of moments. Before we do, I think it's been a pretty exciting, fun offseason for the Seahawks with everything they've done, from the draft to bringing back Bobby Wagner, signing Draymond Jones and company. If you think the Seahawks have had a good offseason, go ahead and smash that like button on today's video. If you don't think they've had a good offseason, comment and tell me why. Let us know. A little survey time here on Seahawks Today. Like the video if you think they've had a good offseason. If not, comment and tell me why not, and we'll get started with today's show. So maybe the most obvious name on this list is Dee Eskridge at the wide receiver position. And what we've seen from Dee Eskridge, not really a whole lot of the last couple of seasons, just with how much he's been injured and not available for this Seahawks team. And then in the draft, obviously they picked up Jackson Smith-Njigba with the 20th overall pick, the number 2 pick in the first round of the draft, their second first-round pick. And so now your top 3 receiver room is set, right, with Tyler and DK and then with Jackson Smith-Njigba there. And so questions remain about Dee Eskridge's future at this point with the organization. He's played in 20 games in the last 2 seasons. His career stats, nothing to write home about. 17 receptions, 122 yards, and 1 touchdown. And, you know, the measurables, those things look good for Dee Eskridge as far as a pure athlete and the performer that he is. But, I mean, there's still a lot left to be desired, right? And so if you're the Seahawks, I think you're kind of saying, you know what, we can live without Dee Eskridge. Nothing personal. It's just business, right? So he seems to be the obvious choice. I don't know how much you can necessarily get for him at this point, but it seems like it would make sense to move on from him. He seems to be candidate number 1. Name a player the Seahawks should trade for, or trade away, rather. Let me know who you think, whether it's Dee Eskridge or somebody else that we're going to talk about in today's show. Let me know in the comment section somebody you think the Seahawks should trade away. This is our pinned comment today. You might get an ad break. If so, take advantage of it. Get your votes in. Tell me one way or the other a player the Seahawks should trade. After Dee Eskridge, this one might come as a surprise, but it's being talked about on the internet circles, and that is Will Dissly at the tight end position. And I know when you look at the Seahawks tight end room, you're saying to yourself, well, look, you got Noah Fant, you got Will Dissly, Colby Parkinson, you have some good tight ends, right? You don't have a great tight end room, but you have a few good options, and you can run 12 personnel and do all that, right? Well, then you start to think a step further, and if you're the Seahawks, I think next offseason you would like to upgrade the position in hopes of trying to find that elite tight end. And so with that, somebody's got to go, and Will Dissly could be that guy. Sports Gambling Podcast, their network, brought this idea up, and it makes a lot of sense. Whether you agree with it or not, it's something at least to think about. Listen to this. The team has an opt-out and can move on from Dissly this offseason to save money. They acquired Noah Fant in the Russell Wilson trade. They won't want to pay both tight ends, and Fant is under contract until 2024. See, there's the key, not wanting to pay both guys. Whether that is long-term or short-term, they still want to do what they can with Lockett's contract. Dissly doesn't have any value in a dynasty. So if the Seahawks are trying to build this thing for the future, Will Dissly maybe not the best option as far as the Seahawks' plans down the road. 2018, 4th-round pick out of Washington. We kind of know who he is at this point in his career. You're looking at a dead cap of $6.2 million, potential cap savings of $2.9 million. His stats last year, 34 catches, 349 yards, 3 touchdowns, averaged just over 10 yards a reception. Those things, you look at Disley, he's not a bad player. Don't get me wrong when I say this, but, I mean, do you really want to pay him long-term when you know you want to upgrade that position anyway? Now might be the time to move on from him and get something for him. I think that you live in a world where you probably don't keep both Fant and Disley, and Disley would probably be the guy on the way out as far as I'm concerned. Pick one to keep. Noah Fant or Will Disley? Which guy would you rather have for this Seahawks team if you were to not trade one? Which guy would you rather hold on to? Noah Fant or Will Disley? Type NF for Noah Fant. Type WD for Will Disley. Let us know in the comments section. NF for Noah Fant. WD for Will Disley. Seahawks fans, we got a great deal going on, courtesy of our friends at Fanatics. Hats and beanies are on sale now for up to 30% off. And I know you may be thinking, well, why would I want to wear a beanie right now? Well, exactly. Get yours now, and then you save that for a gift down the road or for next winter when that rolls around. And we have all of these types of hats, whether you want the modern logo, the throwback is a personal favorite of Big Tex. There's a lot of options there for you. Up to 30% off, available for a limited time. Get yours today. I even like the camo one, too. I mean, there's all sorts of options for your Seahawks needs that you can get today. Up to 30% off now while supplies last. Get yours today. Chatsports.com/Seahawks hats is where you can find those. It's chatsports.com/Seahawks hats. All right, got a few more names to get to. And next is DeeJay Dallas. And you look at this running back room for the Seahawks, and we've seen a complete makeover, right, with what they've done with this group. With Rashad Penny gone, we've seen them make moves where, Travis Homer, of course, is not there anymore. And then what they did in the draft, getting not one but two running backs in this year's draft with adding Zach Charbonnet as well as Kenny McIntosh into the fold. And obviously Kenneth Walker had a great rookie season. So is there a spot for DeeJay Dallas anymore in this equation? 2020, it was a fourth-round pick, and he's been used as both a dual-threat rushing and receiving back. We saw last year that he had 17 catches for 126 receiving yards and had 35 carries for 186 yards. And I don't think, kind of like what we've talked about with some of these other guys, I don't think DeeJay Dallas is a bad football player by any means. But I don't think that he's necessarily a part of the Seahawks' future plans. And so if there's somebody out there that is looking for a good pass catcher, DeeJay Dallas could be your guy out of the backfield. Remember, with Kenny McIntosh, who you picked up from Georgia, he is a very good receiver. And so as of right now, DeeJay Dallas, before even going to camp or anything, at best would be your number 3 running back. He's not going to get playing time over Kenneth Walker III or Zach Charbonnet. He's going to be competing with Kenny McIntosh for playing time. And quite frankly, Kenny McIntosh might be the better running back. So DeeJay Dallas, if you can get something for him, that might be the way to go and move on from DeeJay Dallas and completely retool this running back room. For the best Seahawks coverage, we got you covered here on Seahawks Today each and every day as we bring you daily news and rumors. We're also talking trades, free agency. We'll have an update on rookie minicamp here coming up in the next couple days. We'll also be covering OTAs and training camp and more here on the channel. If you want the best Seahawks coverage around, and in true Chat Sports fashion, you need to subscribe to the channel today. Subscribe for free. Turn on notifications so you never miss a moment. If the Seahawks make a move, we're going to stop whatever we're doing. We're going to bring you a video and break it all down here on the channel. Subscribe for free right now. Turn on notifications so you never miss a moment. YouTube.com/Seahawks TV. Next up on the list is Tre Brown, the corner who has now been with the Seahawks a couple years and was a former fourth-round pick out of Oklahoma. And Tre Brown started 3 games as a rookie, and there was some optimism about Tre Brown and what he was going to do in his future with the Seahawks. Suffers that knee injury there in his rookie season, and this year he was passed up on the depth chart by a couple different rookies when he was still recovering from his injury and was still week to week. We saw the emergence of Tariq Woolen and Kobe Bryant. And one, of course, looked like one of the best corners in the entire NFL this year. Kobe Bryant had a pretty decent rookie season. And so Tre Brown kind of gotten forgotten about. It kind of reminded me of what happened to Sidney Jones, where Sidney Jones, I mean, decent player, but Sidney Jones was passed up a bit, just not being available, and other guys stepping up and taking advantage of the opportunity. And you add in Devin Witherspoon into the fold with your number 5 overall pick. Julian Love is going to be kind of all over the place. There's talk that he could be in 3 high safety schemes. We could see him at nickelback. Remember, you still have Mike Jackson as well. I just don't know if there's a spot for Tre Brown right now. And you might rather have a draft pick rather than having Tre Brown personally. Like we've said with the others too. It's not personal, it's just business. I don't know if there's a spot for Tre Brown right now with as much as we've seen the other guys emerge. Credit to Woolen, Bryant, the coaching staff for what they've done with these young corners and the high expectations for Devin Witherspoon here. But Tre Brown might be a good time to move on from him and see what you can get for him. Last one on the list. This one might be a little bit of a surprise, but hear me out on this. Phil Haynes makes our list. And Phil Haynes has a pretty decent shot to be a starting offensive guard for this Seahawks team this upcoming season. But with that said, there's still some glaring question marks about Phil Haynes and his ability at this level. Remember, we've only seen him start 5 games in 3 seasons. Not a whole lot of starting experience. The numbers, according to PFF, not anything that great, to be honest. A 57.1 overall grade, 60.2 pass block, 58.1 run block. This is one where I wouldn't expect Phil Haynes to be traded tomorrow, but if Anthony Bradford looks the part, the guard that the Seahawks drafted out of LSU, and there's a lot of high praise about him, what he could do. I thought he was a steal for the Seahawks to get him when they did on day 3. I thought he was a day 2 talent. If Anthony Bradford can develop and have a really good camp and look the part, then you might not necessarily need Phil Haynes, and you could trade him and give him another shot elsewhere. So for me, there's some concerns about Phil Haynes. He very well could be starting for Seattle when it's all said and done. But I'm watching for Anthony Bradford. Don't rule out the possibility that Anthony Bradford ends up starting for the Seahawks week 1 and we see Seattle move on from Phil Haynes. So what do you think? Should Seattle trade Phil Haynes? Why for yes, in for no? Tell me in the comment section what you think if the Seahawks should move on from Phil Haynes or not. Interact with me on social media. I'm on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Tyler Jones Live. You can find me there talking about your Seattle Seahawks. I will see you next time right here on the channel. Thanks for joining us.